Let's talk about some trade rumors. The Seahawks are being linked to potential blockbuster moves. They've got NFL experts throwing out ideas, and I think it's worth discussing. If for no other reason, then we still got to kill time between now and the start of the season. But it is also interesting given the context of those damn Rams loading up. Like, are we in an arms race? I don't think we are. We are the defending champs, and yet we're not ranked as the best team in football, despite bringing back a lot of the last year's pieces. So the question is, when there's ideas being thrown out about a trade package that would land Maxx Crosby, how interested are you in it? I want to break down the specifics that are brought up in this article, but also just, kind of hear from you guys, because I think that NFL insiders can bring up one thing, but you guys are all diehard Seahawks fan, hence you watching a Seahawks episode of a YouTube show that you probably all have your own ideas that you are interested in playing fantasy GM with. Before we get to any of that, I got to say a quick thank you to PrizePicks, America's #1 sports pick app. Best way to get in on the action right now, if you want to use the code DIGEST when you're signing up, PrizePicks will hook you up with $50 when you play your first $5 in lineups. Okay, as I said, Rams getting a lot of love and attention this year, and I don't understand there's already the East Coast bias from the media, but then the one people that get a pass on the East Coast bias is the Rams. And okay, Myles Garrett, cool, but does that really mean that we need to just keep adding pieces arbitrarily to keep up with the Joneses? I don't think so. But Maxx Crosby is an interesting one, given that he is really, really good. The Raiders very clearly are interested in moving him, but then this weird offseason unfolds where Crosby ends up, he was traded to Baltimore, obviously, but then fails the physical. And so as this article brings up, they are talking about how the relationship is strained, it is deteriorated, that he has this knee injury, that the recovery from it has been the crux of this all falling apart. And then the knee injury, I think, is probably basically what was the issue with the physical, but then he was so close to the surgery that I think it was safe to say, maybe he didn't pass it because he was still recovering from it. And it's kind of a lot to unpack. But the 2 first-round picks is what the Raiders were going to get initially. So the article the article that I'm referencing here was talking about how Clint Kubiak, now over with the Raiders, would have some insight into guys that he really likes from the Seahawks, where it's like, oh yeah, if we're going to move on from, if we now being the Raiders in this hypothetical, we're going to move on from Crosby, I know those guys from direct experience, and let's get in on this. So the initial one here in this article is said that Ty Okada or Julian Love are players that would be potential trade bait for Maxx Crosby. So I guess in addition to, do you guys think that we need to keep up with the Joneses and make moves for the sake of making moves? How do you like the concept of Ty Okada or Julian Love and some draft capital in exchange for Maxx Crosby? I don't hate that. I feel like maybe 70, 30, 60, 40 in favor of it. Ty Okada's a weird one for me because he is really good, but it's something where I also have done off-season prep videos where it's like Ty Okada could either not wind up as the starter or at the very least be dealing with some of the rookies that we just drafted, taking at least some of the rotational snaps away from him. So to trade a guy who is not that he's not good, but is not going to necessarily be so extremely overwhelmingly good that in someone like Ty Okada that he might lose some of the snaps and be a rotational piece in exchange for Maxx Crosby, who I still believe has a couple of really high caliber years ahead of him. I'm actually kind of interested in that. The money-wise, it certainly does work out that got the room for it. It would eat up a fair amount of the available cap space, depending on the finals of, who and everything are done after 2027. That gap there's some opt-outs. So I don't think this would really be something where it's a here and now overreactionary, oh my goodness, we trade for him and that it's great now, but we're straddled with something for 5 or 6 more years that's going to really end up being a negative and a detriment to the team. And so I'm okay with it. I guess for me, the one other question in all of this, and just this would be specifically the money, would be, how much do you want to hurt potential contract renegotiations? And how desperately do you need to deal with Witherspoon's contract renegotiation? How much do you want to worry about storing away cap space for Sam Darnold contract? How much do you want to, there's just a little bit of going in big on something like this, potentially limiting the next couple of years in a slight way that I think is just at least worth the discussion piece. So that's what I got for you. Maxx Crosby for Ty Okada and some draft picks, for Julian Love and some draft picks. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think as far as rumors go, this is one that is definitely worth entertaining. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Love hearing from you guys. Before we get out of here, you know what we got to do. We got to say a quick thank you again to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. Best way to get in on the action. And right now, if you want to get in on the action and use that code DIGEST, DIGEST, when you are signing up, Prize Picks will hook you with $50 when you play your first $5 in lineups. If you are a returning user, no worries. Prize Picks has a bunch of great things going on for you guys all week, every week. Like Taco Tuesdays, all Tuesday, every Tuesday. Their board is serving up discounted projections. Then you can close out your week with your Flex Friday bonuses. Use your Flex Friday to boost your payouts by up to 40%. Prize Picks, it's America's #1 sports pick app. Best way to get in on the action. And like I said, if you want to use that code DIGEST, DIGEST, when you are signing up, it's good for everybody. Hooks you guys up, helps the channel out, sends good vibes to the Seahawks. All right, that's what I got for you on this episode. Thanks for killing 10 more minutes between now and the start of the season with us. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys soon.